The wine hit my face before I heard the glass shatter. Cold first, then the sting. Red dripping down my cheek, soaking into the collar of my white dress, sliding along my jaw like it had somewhere important to be. The rooftop went silent. 40 stories up, city lights behind us. A DJ still playing unaware he was scoring the worst moment of my life. "You selfish piece of," my brother Ethan shouted, arms still raised, fingers shaking from adrenaline or entitlement. Hard to tell. That was the first snap. I blinked once, slowly. The Space Needle flickered in the distance like it didn't want to be part of this. Someone gasped. Someone laughed nervously. I tasted Cabernet and metal. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled. If you've ever had family treat you like you don't matter, like your hard work is community property, take a second, hit like, subscribe, because if this feels familiar, you're going to want to hear how it unfolds. The glass rolled across the concrete and stopped at my heel. I looked down at it, then back at Ethan. "That's it," I said. He stared at me, chest-heaving eyes wild. "You think you're better than us now? That car's just sitting there. You don't even need it." My mother stepped in fast, heels clicking sharp like punctuation. "Claire, don't provoke him." That was the second snap. I wiped my face with the back of my hand. The wine smeared darker now. My phone buzzed in my clutch, muffled, impatient. Behind my mother, my father avoided my eyes. He focused on the bar, on the bottles, on anything that wasn't his daughter standing there dripping humiliation. "He just needs the car," Mom said, voice tight, controlled. "For interviews. You know how hard things have been for him?" I laughed. It came out wrong. Too flat, too loud. "Interviews?" I asked. "He hasn't had one in 6 months." Ethan took a step toward me. I saw his sleeve twist as he clenched his fist. Someone reached for him. Someone else stepped back. "You owe me," he said. "After everything. After everything." I turned toward the balcony rail. The city breathed below us, indifferent. My reflection stared back from the glass, red-streaked eyes, steady. I pulled out my phone. Click. That sound landed heavier than the wine. I dialed one number. It rang once. "It happened," I said quietly. "Just like you said." A pause. Then, "Are you safe?" I looked back at my family, at my mother's tight mouth, at my brother's shaking hands, at my father's silence. "Yes," I said. "I am." "Good," the voice replied. "Then we proceed." I ended the call and slid the phone back into my clutch. The music swelled again, awkward, desperate to pretend nothing had changed. But everything had. "My name is Claire Morgan. I'm 33. I work in risk analysis for a private investment firm. I own the condo you're standing in. I bought it alone. I bought my car alone. And I spent years building a life my family could never reach, until tonight. 2 years ago, the first transfer left my account while I was standing in my kitchen barefoot chopping onions after a late call. My phone buzzed. "Ethan, $600. Short-term thing. I'll pay you back." The knife paused midair. I sent it. That was the third snap. It didn't sound like one at the time. More like a whisper. A compromise. Family helps family. That's what Mom said. That's what Dad nodded at. That's what Ethan leaned on like a crutch. Then it was $1 and $200. Then $2,000. Always urgent. Always temporary. Always with a new excuse that sounded just believable enough to make me feel cruel for questioning it. The dishwasher hummed. The sink light flickered. My bank app became a routine I hated but maintained. Ethan moved back in with our parents. My mother started carrying cash just in case. My father added a recurring transfer and never checked where it went. I did. I kept a spreadsheet. Dates. Amounts. Memos. Lies. By the time his girlfriend Lena started showing up to Sunday dinners, I was already tired. She watched everything. She smiled too long. She asked pointed questions about my job, about credit, about assets. "You're so put together," she said once, tracing the rim of her glass. "It must be nice." I smiled back then, too. Grandma Margaret noticed. She always did. She stood beside me one afternoon while the dishwasher clicked and whispered, "Keep your papers. I should have listened sooner." Back on the rooftop, Ethan lunged for my clutch. Fingers brushed leather. I stepped sideways. His hand closed on air. "Enough," my father finally said. Not to him, to me. That was the fourth snap. "Don't make this worse," Mom added. "People are watching." I looked around. They were. Phones tilted, eyes wide, waiting to see what kind of woman I was about to be. I smoothed my dress, straightened my shoulders. "This ends tonight," I said. Ethan scoffed. "You don't get to decide that." Mom's voice cut in sharp as the broken glass still near my feet. "If you can't support your brother when he needs you, then don't call me your mother." That was the one that broke clean. No echo, no repair. I nodded once. Just once. "Okay," I said. The word landed soft. Final. I turned back toward the city, the wine drying sticky against my skin, my pulse steady now. Somewhere below my car sat under fluorescent lights, unaware it was about to become evidence. Behind me, my mother kept talking, explaining, rewriting, gaslighting in real time. I didn't listen. Because some things don't end with shouting. They end with paperwork. It didn't start with wine. It started with a buzz on my phone and the soft click of a knife against a cutting board. 3 years earlier, my apartment was smaller, quieter, no skyline. Just a rented one-bedroom with yellow light over the sink and a dishwasher that rattled like it might give up any day. I was standing barefoot on cold tile chopping onions when my phone vibrated across the counter. "Ethan, $600. Memo emergency. I'll pay you back next week." I remember staring at the screen longer than I should have. Thumb hovering. The knife paused midair. The onion burned my eyes, and I blamed that for the tight feeling in my chest. He called before I could think too much. "Claire," he said, fast, breathy. "It's nothing bad, just a timing thing." "What kind of timing thing?" I asked. "Startup stuff," he said. "You wouldn't get it." That was the first lie. I sent the money. No drama, no speech, just a tap. The phone clicked. The transfer went through. My reflection stared back at me from the dark screen, already smaller. The reasons kept changing after that. 2 months later, it was $1, $100. Seed money. Then $2,000. Bridge investment. He used words like he'd swallowed a podcast. I'm building something, he told me over coffee at my parents' kitchen table. He didn't look at me when he said it. He stared at the mug, at his own hands. "You always said I had potential." That was the second lie. He had moved back in with Mom and Dad by then. His childhood bedroom, same posters, same desk, same mattress sagging in the middle. He said it was temporary. Mom said it was smart. Dad said nothing. Checks started showing up in his Venmo history from them. Small at first, gas money, groceries, then monthly, automatic, like rent paid in reverse. Mom slipped him 20s when she thought I wasn't looking. Folded bills into his palm like she was passing communion. "He's trying," she said whenever I raised an eyebrow. Trying what I never asked. I already knew the answer. The third transfer came after midnight. $3,500. Memo certification program. This changes everything. He called me again, sounded wired, excited in a way that made my stomach sink. "This one's real," he said. "I swear." I didn't swear back. I sent it. By then I had started saving screenshots. Not because I planned anything, just because something in me had gone quiet, like a door closing slowly. Lena entered the picture around that time. She showed up to Thanksgiving with sharp eyeliner and a practiced smile, shook my hand like we were closing a deal, complimented my watch, asked what I did for a living before asking my name. "I work in asset acquisition," she said lightly, like she was ordering dessert. "Mostly vehicles, some private financing." Her eyes flicked to me when she said financing. I felt it then, that thin, cold line up my spine. She talked a lot, about leverage, about how people with good credit didn't understand how powerful they were. "You can make money work for you," she said one night, tapping her nail against the table, "if you're willing to sign." That was the fourth lie. Ethan nodded along beside her. Too fast, too eager. Like he finally had language for the mess he'd been living in. Mom adored her. Dad tolerated her. I watched. By the end of that year, I had sent over $12,000. The kitchen light in my apartment started flickering. The dishwasher finally broke. I fixed both myself, quietly. without asking anyone for help. Ethan asked again in January, then February, then March. Always urgent. Always framed like I was the missing piece to his success. "You're already set," he said once. "This doesn't even hurt you." That one stayed with me. I opened a spreadsheet that night. Just columns. Date, amount, reason, screenshot link, no emotion. Just facts. The total crept past $20,000 by summer. I stopped responding immediately. Let messages sit. Let calls ring out. The silence bothered him more than the refusals ever would have. Lena started texting me directly. "He's under a lot of pressure," she wrote once. "He just needs one clean break. You could change his life." I archived every message. I saved every email. I backed everything up twice. Margaret noticed before anyone else did. My grandmother had moved into the downstairs room at my parents' place after her hip surgery. She didn't say much anymore, just watched, from her chair, from the end of the table, from the doorway, while dishes clinked and conversations pretended not to repeat. One afternoon I was loading the dishwasher, plates stacked, glasses clicking into place. She stood beside me, leaning on her cane. "He asks you again," she said softly. "Yes," I answered. She nodded like she'd expected that, reached out and straightened a crooked fork in the rack. "Conjugated," she asked. "Are you keeping the papers?" I looked at her then, really looked. Her eyes were sharp, clear, nothing missed. "Yes," I said. "Good," she replied. "People like that don't stop when you say no. They stop when you prove something." The dishwasher door closed with a dull thud. I didn't tell her how far it had gone. I didn't tell anyone. Because back then, I still thought this was about money. I was wrong. The first warning wasn't loud, it was a red dot. I was halfway through a Tuesday morning briefing when my phone lit up on the desk. No vibration. Just a silent notification, pulsing like it had all the time in the world. Credit alert. I didn't open it right away. I finished the sentence I was on. I nodded at the screen. I muted my mic. Then I tapped. A 6-point drop. Small, almost polite, the kind of change most people would ignore. I didn't. That was the 5th snap. 10 minutes later, another notification slid in. This one from my insurance app. Monthly premium adjustment. Up. By an amount that made no sense. I stared at the number. Did the math in my head. Rechecked the policy details. Nothing had changed. No accidents, no tickets, no new coverage. Just a higher bill. The meeting ended. Chairs scraped. Voices faded. I stayed seated, laptop still open, hands flat on the desk like I needed to ground myself. I pulled my credit report, then another, then the third. There it was, a loan I didn't recognize, not a balance I'd forgotten, not an old card, a clean recent entry, listed under my name, marked co-signed. I felt cold then. Not panic, something sharper. I clicked into the document. The signature was mine. Almost. Same loops, same spacing, same confidence, but wrong. Too neat, too practiced. Like someone had traced my hand instead of following it. That was the 6th snap. I didn't call Ethan. I didn't text my mother. I didn't even stand up. I forwarded the document to my personal email, downloaded the PDF, opened the Properties panel, scrolled, created by L. Brooks, location Bayline Auto Finance, Lena. The room felt suddenly very quiet. Too quiet, like the sound had been sucked out by something heavier than fear. I closed my laptop, packed my bag, walked out without saying goodbye to anyone. At home, I spread everything across the dining table. Credit reports, insurance notices, old screenshots, my spreadsheet. It all lined up now, clean, brutal. This wasn't desperation. It was a plan. I pulled up the loan agreement again, followed the address trail. The lender was a shell. The processing office matched Lena's workplace. Same block, same floor. I checked the date, 2 weeks after Ethan's last emergency. I sat back in my chair and let the silence stretch. This was the moment most people explode. Call, scream, demand answers, wake the house, drag secrets into the light, and hope the truth would feel lighter once it was shared. I didn't do that. I poured myself a glass of water, drank it slowly. Then I picked up my phone and searched a name I'd saved months ago but never needed. Daniel Ross. We met the next morning at a cafe that didn't play music. The kind of place where conversations stayed private because no one wanted to listen anyway. He was younger than I expected. Mid-30s, crisp suit, calm eyes. The kind of man who didn't rush you because he knew time favored him. I slid the folder across the table. He didn't react, just flipped pages, checked dates, read signatures, noted metadata. "This isn't sloppy," he said finally. "Which means it's not their first time." I nodded. "I don't want a confrontation." "Good," he replied. "They'd only lie better." He outlined the steps like a checklist. Clear, precise, no drama. Freeze your credit. Flag the loan. Preserve metadata. Do not alert them. And we document everything he added. Because this ends in one of two ways. Either they stop or they talk. "How do we make them talk?" I asked. He met my eyes. "By letting them think they're winning." That was the seventh snap. We discussed options, legal ones, clean ones. He explained what was allowed. What crossed lines, where evidence became poison instead of proof. Audio was permissible under specific conditions. Property-based, no expectation of privacy, time-stamped, unedited. "We don't bait," he said. "We wait." I left the cafe with a plan folded neatly into my bag and a strange sense of calm settling into my bones. At home, I made the changes quietly. Credit frozen. Two-factor authentication added everywhere. Alerts set to real-time. I installed software that logged metadata automatically. Set backups to mirror in two separate clouds. Labeled folders with dates instead of emotions. I didn't block anyone. I didn't warn anyone. Ethan texted that afternoon. "All good on my end. Things are lining up." I archived it. Lena sent a message an hour later. "Insurance glitch at work today." Weird, right? I left it on red. That night I drove my car like normal, parked it in the garage, locked it, walked upstairs, ate dinner standing up. The city hummed outside. Distant sirens. A train horn somewhere it didn't belong. I thought about my grandmother's voice, about the way she'd said papers like they were armor. Daniel emailed me before midnight. Device approved. Legal. Discreet. Ships tomorrow. I replied with one word. Proceed. From that point on, I did nothing. That was the hardest part. I smiled at family dinners, nodded when my mother defended Ethan's progress, listened as Lena bragged about deals closing, financing, smoothing out doors opening. They talked more when I stopped asking questions. They filled the silence with confidence. People always do, because the guilty don't fear quiet. They fear proof. And the truth is simple. The people who are wrong always talk the most when they think they're about to win. Midnight didn't change anything. Fireworks bloomed outside the glass walls, gold, white, loud enough to shake the balcony rail. Strangers hugged. Someone spilled champagne and laughed too hard. The DJ counted down again like time needed permission to move. I stood near the bar, wine already dried stiff on my sleeve posture, calm enough to make people uneasy. Ethan didn't look at me anymore. That was how I knew. He hovered near Lena's shoulder, pressed too close, whispering. She nodded once. Sharp. Decisive. Her eyes flicked toward the elevators, toward the valet screen glowing on the far wall. I lifted a fresh glass. Didn't drink, just held it. 10 minutes past midnight, they slipped away. No scene, no goodbye, just absence. The doors closed behind them with a soft hydraulic hiss. The party swallowed the sound. Laughter rushed back in. Someone shouted, "New Year, New You." My mother laughed along brittle like glass under pressure. I stayed. That was important. I chatted with a coworker about nothing. The market, travel, weather that didn't matter. My phone rested heavy in my clutch screen, dark recording indicator already live. Daniel's words echoed clean in my head. No bait, no pursuit. Let them think. Down below, fluorescent lights washed the garage in a sickly white. The camera feed streamed to my cloud server, time-stamped, encrypted, boring, in the way truth always is before it detonates. The device activated the moment the driver's door opened. Their voices came through first as shapes, then words. "Pop the trunk," Lena said. Calm. Professional. Like this was Tuesday. Ethan laughed, breathy. I still can't believe she bought it. She always does, Lena replied. Credit like hers? People like that don't say no. They just delay. That was the 8th snap. Paper rustled. A pen clicked. I imagined her manicured fingers smoothing documents across the hood. We list it tonight, she continued. Instant buyer. Clean flip. Title transfer lag buys us time. And the loan, Ethan asked? Already done, she said. She's the guarantor. System shows her as primary. By the time anyone checks the money's cleared, he whistled low. That wipes everything. And leaves 20 grand, she added. Split clean. Silence. Then the unmistakable sound of a phone camera shutter. Send that to me, Ethan said. Just in case. Relax, Lena replied. I know what I'm doing. They always say that. I didn't move. Around me, the party thinned. Heels clicked toward elevators. Jackets were pulled on. The skyline dimmed as fireworks faded into smoke. I waited until their voices dropped into logistics. VINs, time frames, a joke about how family always forgives. Then I stepped out onto the balcony, cold air cutting sharp against my skin, and pressed one button. Send. Daniel first, then compliance, then the bank's fraud intake. No captions, no commentary, just files, audio, timestamps, metadata intact. The truth doesn't need adjectives. By the time the last guest left, my phone was warm from confirmations. Received, under review, preserved. I locked my door at 2:14 a.m., changed into clean clothes, washed the wine from my face. The mirror reflected a woman who looked untouched. That mattered. I slept 4 hours, dreamless. At 8:37 a.m., the intercom buzzed. Once, twice, then again. I didn't answer. The camera feed showed them huddled in the lobby. Ethan pacing. Lena clutching a folder too thick for comfort. My mother standing between them like a shield she didn't realize was transparent. The buzzer sounded again, longer this time. I tapped audio only. Yes, Claire, my mother said quickly. We need to come up. There's been a misunderstanding. Her voice carried the same tone she'd used when I was 10 and the school called. Controlled, minimizing. I'm unavailable, I replied. Ethan leaned toward the panel. His face filled the screen, pale, angry, desperate. This isn't optional, he said. We just need you to sign a few things so this doesn't get blown out of proportion. That was the 9th snap. I won't be signing anything, I said. All communication goes through my attorney. Lena raised the folder, smiled tight. We brought the paperwork. It's cleaner if we handle it internally. The word internally almost made me laugh. I've already handled it, I said. Security will escort you out. The panel went quiet, then chaos. My mother started talking fast, overlapping apologies and accusations. Ethan swore. Lena hissed something I couldn't hear. 2 guards appeared on camera uniforms, crisp movements rehearsed. They spoke calmly, gestured toward the exit. Ethan resisted, just enough to embarrass himself. The feed cut to empty marble. I poured coffee. Black, no sugar. My phone rang as the kettle clicked off. Daniel. They walked right into it, he said. No satisfaction in his voice, just confirmation. We have everything. What happens now? I asked. We let the institutions do what they're very good at, he replied. And we don't say a word we don't have to. An email chimed in before we hung up. Loan frozen pending investigation. Insurance adjustment reversed. Fraud unit assigned. I forwarded everything to Daniel, then archived the thread. At 9:12, my mother texted, Your father is devastated. Think about what you're doing. I didn't reply. At 9:27, Ethan tried calling from a number I didn't recognize. Blocked. At 9:40, Lena emailed from a work address. We can fix this. Please call me. Forwarded. Archived. By 10 a.m., the building manager confirmed my parents' access credentials had been deactivated months ago. Quietly. Per my request. By noon, Daniel sent a single line. They've stopped talking. I sat at the table, coffee gone, cold city moving on outside my window like nothing had happened. 1 hour after midnight, they thought they were free. By morning, every door they'd tried to sneak through had locked itself, and for the first time in years, the silence wasn't heavy. It was clean. The investigation didn't arrive with sirens. It arrived with emails, plain subject lines, neutral language, words like review, verification, pending, the kind of language that doesn't care about tears or family dinners or who raised who. Ethan stopped posting online first. No stories, no check-ins. His name went quiet in the group chat like someone had unplugged him. 3 days later, Lena lost her job. I didn't hear it from her. I heard it from the dealership's compliance office, copied to Daniel, written in the same bloodless tone as every other message. Employee suspended pending inquiry, license under administrative review. I read it once, then closed the laptop. The loan froze by the end of the week. Official notice, temporary at first, then permanent. The lender apologized, not emotionally, procedurally, fees reversed, interest erased. My name removed like it had never been there. My credit score bounced back within 48 hours. 6 points, 10, then more. The alert app went green again. Quiet. Normal. That felt strange. Normal. The money followed. One transfer, then another. Then the final reconciliation. Every dollar I had sent over the years returned in neat, documented lines. Over $20,000 reappeared in my account without ceremony. I stared at the balance longer than I expected. It didn't feel like winning. It felt like reclaiming something that had been stolen so slowly I'd almost convinced myself I'd given it away. Ethan tried once more. A burner number. Short message. Withdraw the complaint. I'll pay you back monthly. I forwarded it to Daniel and deleted it from my phone. Lena sent nothing after that. Her silence was louder than anything she could have said. My parents waited longer. A week passed, then another, then my mother emailed from an account I hadn't seen in years. We need to talk as a family. I didn't answer. My father called the landline I never used, left a voicemail. His voice sounded older, smaller. This has gone far enough, he said. Blood shouldn't end up in court. I deleted the message without listening again. Because blood wasn't what put my name on forged documents. Paper did. The move happened quietly. I didn't announce it, didn't argue over furniture or memories. I hired professionals. Boxes appeared. Labels clicked into place. My life folded itself into cardboard without protest. The last thing I packed was the kitchen. The dishwasher hummed like it always had. I watched the rack spin and thought about how many conversations had died in that room. How many lies had been told softly enough to pass as love. I changed the locks at the new place before the boxes were even unpacked. New building, new street, no doorman who knew my parents' faces, no valet, no view worth coveting. I sold the car. Not in anger, not in triumph, just practicality. It was too recognizable, too loud, too easy to point at and say, "You owe us because you have this." I replaced it with something ordinary, quiet, anonymous. That felt like freedom. I blocked numbers in batches. Ethan first, then Lena, then my mother's second phone, then her third, then every email domain that ended in our family name. I didn't feel dramatic doing it. I felt organized. Margaret's flowers arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. White roses, simple. No ribbon, no card on top. The note was tucked inside the envelope beneath the stems, handwritten. Steady. Kan kom fa jeding, kan chingung de ho fa kan. You didn't break the family. You just stopped letting them break you. I sat on the floor with the flowers beside me and didn't cry, not because I couldn't, because I didn't need to. That night I cooked for myself, real food, ate at the table instead of standing over the sink. The apartment was quiet in a way that didn't feel lonely. It felt intentional. Daniel called once more to close the file. "Everything's finalized," he said. "No further action needed." "Thank you," I replied. "You did the hard part," he said. "Most people don't." After we hung up, I deleted the evidence folder. Not all of it. Just enough to let go. The rest lived where it belonged now in institutions that didn't care who my mother was or how long my brother had slept in the next room growing up. Weeks passed. The city forgot the party. The rooftop hosted another one. New faces, new messes. I didn't look back. Sometimes late at night, I thought about the version of me who sent the first $600, barefoot, guilty, trying to be good. I didn't hate her. She didn't know yet. Now I did. Family, I learned, is not the place where you prove love by bleeding quietly. It's not the place where your future is treated like collateral. And it's not something you owe your life to just because you share a last name. Family is supposed to protect you. And when it doesn't, you are allowed to protect yourself.